This conference will now be recorded.
So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining this quarter's, I guess, the first of the year, the CAC meetings. Really appreciate you taking the time to pop on here tonight. I did bump the meeting time back to 4:30. Hopefully, that'll be easier for some of the folks that work still, so that they can hop on after work and don't have to take like time off of work. So if you have any issues with that, let me know. Otherwise, I'm probably going to keep it like that moving forward. So up first, I think we'll hold off on introductions and everything since we're online. We can do a nice round of introductions at our next in-person meeting. So starting us off today on our agenda is a Bay Mini Grant Spotlight. So I'd like to introduce Lori Celli. She is with Autism Inspired Academy. So they won a Bay Mini Grant Award last year, and they just completed their Autism Inspired Plants project. So I invited her here tonight so that she could talk about her project. So I will pass it over to you, Lori, when you're ready.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for watching my slideshow. I'm so proud of our students and so thankful for the opportunity um, to have our garden and just show. I can't wait to show you guys the things that we did. Um, First, we started off. Of course, we're a school. We're a school exclusively for autism. We serve grades K through 12. And we're actually growing. We just purchased a new school, so we're going to have even more room to plant even more cord grass and get even more involved in helping our environment. I'm a high school science teacher, high school and middle school science teacher, and I really think it's important to have the kids work hands-on, especially in our gorgeous environment. So this was the perfect opportunity. The way I started off, I actually found you guys' grant while I was waiting on my daughter at the YMCA. I was looking at the Gulfport Gabber, I believe, just randomly and saw this grant and thought it would be a great idea. So I brought it to my students. And the only thing I did was I wrote all the questions that were basically in the grant, and I had my students go around to different stations and just write their ideas. Then basically I took their ideas and just kind of typed it into the grant, and I guess you guys liked it. So we were so happy to brainstorm ways to help our environment. So happy that we could actually let some of these ideas come to fruition. This is a picture of some of my fellas building the garden. We had 6 volunteers from my high school biology class. It was last year at the time. Come in and construct our saltwater garden, as you can see here. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Tara from Tampa Bay Watch. They actually partnered with us as well to bring the supplies and the knowledge and the cordgrass plugs. So this is where we were harvesting some cordgrass after we grew it. Tara and Tampa Bay Watch were instrumental in not only helping us by providing the supplies, the dirts and the pot and the pots and whatnot, the plants. They also uh, taught our kids the importance. Why are estuaries important? Why is it important to ensure that our ecosystems are stable? So they were extremely interested in that. Here's another picture of some kiddos planting some plugs. This is a before and after picture. I personally have never even heard of cordgrass before this, and it was just so much fun to watch it grow. The garden is right next to our car circle, so the parents were even able to kind of watch the progress. And this is what we came up with. This was our result. So we had, I think, that's successful. Um, on Harvest Day, Tampa Bay Watch came out again. That was this year, and we cut the cordgrass into plugs and put them in bags to plant. Oh, I guess I put that picture in twice. Sorry about that. Um, and here's that process. All of the middle school and high school grades and functioning levels were able to participate. It was really a nice event. You see all the smiling faces in there. They love to get their hands dirty. A lot of these kids have never, I had 2 kids that had never been to a beach before. So this was not only an incredible education experience for them, but it was also just a great social and exploration of our area. We took those cord grass plugs and we went out to Lassing Park in St. Pete and planted the cord grass right along in this area here. Tampa Bay Watch met us out there, of course, and we had a nice whole day of it. The kids, this was actually another learning opportunity here. Before we went, the kids and I talked about ways that we can keep everyone safe while we're out on the beach, while we're doing trash pickup and planting cord grass. We talked about, fire ants and stingrays and things that we needed to be aware of. So that was a great learning opportunity there. It was also incredible that Tara and the Tampa Bay Watch was able to explain the importance and actually kind of give them some hands-on education before they went out to try planting themselves. Here is getting our feet in the water for the first time, some of us. Some of us were hesitant, but ultimately everybody ended up loving it. Even the students with the most, tactile, sensitive issues, even ended up loving it. I think it was just a really, really good experience. There's Chris, one of our buddies. The kids love the tools here. They loved being able to dig into the dirt and just felt like they were actually, making a difference. There's Zazie. The teamwork was incredible. There's a couple other fellas working. Some of my high school boys who were usually too cool to do anything like this, but actually came together and did such a nice job. Here they are again. Even the grown-ups that were with us were enjoying it and learning stuff. This was another amazing thing. I could not, 5 minutes didn't go by without one of my kids coming up to me and showing me something that they'd found. So this is Kierce with the shell here. And more cleaning. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. This is, I believe this is more planting. And then after planting, we actually had a pizza lunch. So that was lovely for everyone. Nice social skills practice there. And then after, we had a trash cleanup and scavenger hunt. This is Miss Tara telling us the things we should find on our scavenger hunt. Here's some kiddos, future lovebirds possibly, having some trash pickup experience. And this is our group picture here of all the hard workers. Our deliverables. We removed over 170 pounds of trash. Now, I failed to mention that we also have a partnership with Adopt a Park. So my workforce students are going and cleaning up, my goodness, Sunshine Limitless Park. I almost forgot the name of it. But they're going there once a month on Thursdays, and we are spending about 40 minutes out there cleaning up trash with Adopt a Park. So we also earned over, was estimated over $10,000 worth of volunteer matched services. Also, over 600 smooth cordgrass plants were planted in Lassing Park. I drove out to see it over the holiday break and was just so happy that it's still out there. So I guess I can open up for any questions.
Stephanie, I'm going to mute you unless you had a question. Awesome. Well, thanks, Lori, for presenting that. We really appreciate it. It's always fun to see, the CAC is the one who really reviews all of the Bay Mini Grant applications. And I know it's really awesome to see that application turn into this wonderful project, and then to see all the pictures in here, all of the great work that you did with the funding. Does anybody have questions for Lori?
There's one in the chat.
Oh, so Megan, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, I wanted to first say that I love that you involved the students in as many parts of the project as you could with the brainstorming and crowdsourcing ways to keep safe. That sounds really exciting. And I was just curious which aspect of the project that you thought the kids appreciated the most, the seeing the cordgrass grow or the planting of the cordgrass?
Oh, by far the planting. Not only that, but just the pride they took in cleaning up that beach, and they still ask me about it today. How's the grass doing, Miss Shelley? Our school's in Clearwater, so, and I live in St. Pete, so I get to kind of zoom by there a lot more often than they do. They were just so happy to just be out there doing stuff. Sometimes kiddos with disabilities get forgotten. They're put in like a category of, oh, don't ask them. They can't do it. Well, that's definitely not the case here. These kiddos love to help, and they can do anything that any other kiddo can do. So I'm just so thankful for their experience. Like, just watching them it was great. Everybody that went just left with such a great feeling. The kiddos, the grown-ups, everyone. I think even the bus driver was into it.
Lori, I'm wondering if there's any like lessons learned from this that either we as the Bay Mini Grant people or you as someone who works with kids with disabilities, like is there anything learned from this that we might want to know?
Oh, sure. I'm not sure if you maybe want to, I mean, gosh, offer it to schools or whatnot. I mean, I'm not sure. Whenever I first saw the grant and was looking into it, I wasn't even sure if you would even consider a school. It seemed more like a project for an ecologist or something like that, like a college class. I don't know. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. So, but knowing how schools not only for kids with disabilities, but just anyone, like getting students involved is just so important to catch them young. So I would just recommend maybe selling it to the educational, to schools and whatnot, because there was so many learning opportunities presented with this project.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I don't know if you can market it to schools or if that's even what you want to do, but
sure, yeah.
boy, it was very, very useful. I mean, I could tie math. We did, oh my goodness, I didn't even tell you guys, we budgeted, the kids practiced language arts. They wrote letters to Lowe's and Home Depot and, Ace Hardware and stuff, asking for donations. They created budgets. All of the spending we did, the kids researched and found the cheapest price, and it was just so many ways, to
Nice.
yeah.
So Lori, from a timing perspective and or like process of actually applying for the Bay Mini grants, do you feel that like maybe if you had more time to apply, like if we opened it earlier in the summer or later in like the school year, if that would have um, helped you at all in like applying? Or are there any, I think kind of what Dylan was saying in the chat, are there any areas where we can improve the process of actually applying?
I thought it was super easy, very convenient. Being able to submit things online was great. I had a little bit of issues with the forms, but that's just because technology is not my strong point. So, but everything was so easy, so great. Communication with Sheila was great. Everything was just super easy, super convenient. I wouldn't change a thing.
So we have a couple other questions in the chat. Erica Moulton asked if you would consider applying for a Bay Mini grant again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I tell you the biggest challenge though?
Yes,
Tampa Bay Watch donated so many things. We had trouble finding things to spend money on, but now that we're moving into the new facility, we would love to apply again.
Well, we would love to support you guys again.
Amazing.
So the other part of this is Erica, sorry for interrupting, but the other part of my question, I asked a little lower. So how did you create that relationship with Tampa Bay Watch?
Oh my goodness. I've been teaching for about 10 years, and Tampa Bay Watch offers a field trip. I'm sure you guys are aware, where you can go out and dissect squid and do water quality testing and things like that. So for years, they would also do it for free for Title I schools, and I taught in the past at Title I schools. So for years, I would bring my students out to do experiments there, and just built a relationship from there. And then whenever we got this grant, I actually was online looking around, and I saw that they had the Bay Grasses and Classes program. So they were actually ending it. So I got kind of lucky, and we were able to use old gardening supplies from a school that was getting rid of it. So we basically got everything for free, practically, or $100 or something like that. Super cheap. So yeah, I hope I didn't go too much around the world to answer your question.
Nope, no, thank you very much. We want to make sure that a lot of our future applicants have the opportunity to partner with good community neighbors, so it's good to know that.
Absolutely. And Adopt a Park just kind of rolled into our laps. So.
Any other questions for Lori? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Lori, again.
No problem. I should have put my contact information in the slideshow. I apologize. If you need me, if you would like to ask me any questions or concerns, Sheila has my email, or you're welcome to call the school if you'd like.
I can share your email address with the group.
That would be perfect. If you have any suggestions, anything for us, we so much appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Well, keep an eye out for the next Bay Mini Grant call.
Absolutely.
It'll be sometime next summer.
Oh, perfect. I sure will.
Awesome. Thanks, Lori.
All right. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
So up next, I'm going to pass it over to Jessica, who's going to talk about some of the Bay Mini Grant updates that she's been working on with one of our smaller Bay Mini Grant review committees. So, Jessica, do you want me to share your presentation, or?
I think I got it.
Cool.
Got it there. Can y'all see it?
Yes.
Cool. Well, I can't see you now, so if anyone wants to raise a hand or jump in or anything, please just come off mute and do so. If you don't know me, my name's Jessica, she or they pronouns. I'm the Community Projects Manager at Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and I am slowly but surely taking Bay Mini Grants off of Sheila's plate and going to start working on those moving forward. So I want to give you a few updates, recommendations for updates, a review of 2024 Bay Mini Grants, and a sneak peek and a little bit of planning for 2025 Bay Mini Grants, which are actually just right around the corner. So first and foremost, if you saw the agenda, there's a recommended action to update the Bay Mini Grant review criteria. These criteria are used by applicants to put together a strong application. They're also used by the CAC members who review these applications. And they've not been significantly updated in several years, so this was a first stab at doing that after a while. The motivation was just, some of it was housekeeping, cleaning up typos, some of it was just making it a little clearer, some of it was adding points for environmental justice, adding points for applications that address the priority that's chosen every year, and updated points for some of the criteria to reflect the Bay Mini Grant program priorities. So we put together an ad hoc working group of volunteers and staff. We reviewed it, made suggestions, reviewed it again. We went through a lot of discussion and editing, and eventually we finalized the recommendations that are linked in the agenda that I hope you've had a chance to look at. And the recommendation before you today is to accept the recommended updates from this ad hoc group. And I do want to give a big shout out to those of y'all that participated in it. Thank you, Sheila. That is linked in the chat right there if you want to take a look at that. So before we move forward, I'm just gonna wait here. Those of you that were in the ad hoc group, I'm not sure if y'all want to mention anything about the process or you know, your support for moving forward, or if y'all have questions, if you're not part of that ad hoc group, now is the time to ask them.
Jessica, do you want to highlight maybe some of the major changes that were done?
I don't know if I want to go through the document. That might take a long time, but the changes, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
The changes that were made were just some of the typos, some clarifying requirements versus as a review, adding points for environmental justice, adding points for applications that address this year's CCMP priority, or that year, whichever year it is, and updating points for some of the criteria to better reflect the priorities of the mini grant program. So those were the bulk of the changes that were made.
While people are reading, this is Megan. I was one of the many people who were reviewing the criteria, and I just wanted to say we had a couple meetings where we discussed in-depth options for phraseology and looking for the most clarifying way to present questions. And I feel like we really stumbled across the best of both worlds, what we wanted to get across while also leaving a lot of room for creative projects and things. And so I'm so excited to move forward on this.
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, Megan, Dylan, Erica, who else was in that group that's here? Sheila and Blake and Carly from TBEP. Linka, I believe. Hope I'm not missing anybody. But yeah, y'all super, super helpful. Marjorie, yes, Marjorie, you were there. Yeah.
Don't forget Marjorie. Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth discussions between everyone, really digging in deep into the priorities of the Bay Mini Grant program and what's realistic and what we can actually realistically ask of applicants, while also keeping it simple and so that it isn't overwhelming for folks who are just submitting an application for the first time. So major thanks to everyone who participated in those discussions. I know it took a lot of time reviewing and wordsmithing. So thanks, Dylan, for all of the wordsmithing help.
So if there's no questions, I don't know if like a formal vote is needed, Sheila, but I don't. That was the recommendation from the ad hoc committee, was to ask the CAC to accept this update.
So does the CAC accept, or does the CAC accept these modifications?
Ask for consensus approval if there's anyone that doesn't agree with the changes. Raise your hands now.
Sorry, everyone, I may be lost on the love boat. Can we repeat the changes one more time briefly?
Sure, yep. So the changes that were made were
Uh-oh, Jessica. We lost you. Jessica, we lost your audio.
But she is unmuted. That's strange.
Yes. Oh, Ed's going to tell her. Okay. Okay, so the changes are simplifying unclear wording, correcting lingering typos, clarifying requirements versus scored review criteria, adding points for environmental justice, and adding points for applications that address that year's selected CCMP priority. And then the team also worked to update points for some criteria to better reflect the priorities of the Bay Mini Grant program.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
So is there consensus from the group to move forward with these changes, or are there any, if anyone has any strong feelings otherwise, please speak up now. Hearing none, I'm guessing that's consensus. So congratulations, Jessica. They're approved. I still can't hear you. You can come in my office though.
GoToMeeting is just not working suddenly, so I'm gonna restart my computer. So if you want to move to the next thing and come back.
Okay. Okay. So she's going to try restarting her computer. So again, thank you everyone who was participating in that review process. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with the agenda. And if Jessica pops back on with audio, she can say her piece. So up next we have Carrie Flaherty-Walia. Carrie is the restoration ecologist for the Tampa Bay Estuary Program. So she is going to be providing a kind of updated look at the state of the bay. So she's going to be talking about our updates to seagrass information and our seagrass transects, water quality updates, and some of the other applications or dashboards that we've updated with 2023 data. So, Carrie?
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all an update on a lot of the, like Sheila said, a lot of the dashboards and different things that we monitor throughout the Bay to look at Bay health on an annual basis. And this was also given by Marcus this morning at our technical advisory committee. So you all are getting the same presentation that they did. And if you have any questions on it, I'll be happy to answer after I go through all the different slides. Some of you may be familiar with a lot of these products if you've been on the CAC for a long period of time, but I'm happy to answer questions. So on the agenda, it says water quality and seagrass, but we're actually going to go through all of the dashboards that we have. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Slide. Okay. So just jumping into our seagrass results, this is actually not new. Our seagrass aerial coverage estimates are based off of the mapping that the Southwest Florida Water Management District does every couple of years. So this estimate is based on their 2022 estimate, which is actually when they flew and did pictures in the end of 2021. And unfortunately, what we've seen in the last several mapping cycles is that we've had a decrease in seagrass coverage since our high of 2016. So this is the third straight reporting loss. And unfortunately, that means we're not meeting our seagrass coverage goal. So this is something that we've been concerned about over the last several years. And this seagrass loss is actually different depending on where you are in the bay. So two of the areas in the upper bay, Old Tampa Bay and Hillsborough Bay, have shown more seagrass loss than some of the areas in the lower bay and middle bay. And specifically Old Tampa Bay, if you look here at the arrow pointing it to 2022, if you look across the entire mapping history, this is actually the lowest percentage of seagrass that they've found in their surveys. So we're concentrating a lot on research in Old Tampa Bay to figure out what some of the causes of this are, and we're really watching that. But there is a little bit of a silver lining here. So again, the mapping only happens every couple of years, but every year we have partners that go out and do transects throughout the bay. So there's 62 transects that are done by numerous partners, and we all go through the same training, and in addition to doing coverage estimates, we also look at the species that are on these transects and look at the trends in that way. And if you look at the most recent year here, this is for 2023, there's a slight uptick in total submerged aquatic vegetation. So there's a little bit of cause for thinking that there might be some recovery happening in the last year. And so these results suggest that we have a slight increase in frequency of occurrence. So in addition to this general graph, you can actually go online at this dashboard and you can look at individual transects. You can look at differences between years. You can look at it specifically by bay segment. So there's a lot of information out there if you want to kind of dive deeper into the data. So for example, if you wanted to look at it by the particular areas within the bay, the top two graphs are those upper bay segments. So Hillsborough Bay and Old Tampa Bay, the ones where we had the most loss. And you'll see that there's this uptick in Old Tampa Bay for 2023. So we're seeing a little bit of an increase when we average all the information that is taken across all these different transects. You also see the same within Hillsborough Bay to some extent. Lower Bay and Middle Tampa Bay have been pretty steady across the time period. So what we're looking for is, you know, some recovery in some of these upper bay segments. So that's potentially good news. The other thing that we look at that's related to seagrass coverage and recovery is water quality. So water quality is very important for seagrasses, and each year we put out a water quality report card, and there's a link to it here if you would like to, you know, look at it a little bit more in depth. It has kind of this stoplight graphic where you can look at water quality, whether we're meeting some of the regulatory requirements or we're not. And I think on the next page, it goes into that a little bit more detail. So for each one of these colors, there's management actions that go along with that. So the different water quality parameters that we look at is chlorophyll, which is an indicator of the amount of algae in the water column. And then also light attenuation, which is the amount of light that reaches the bottom, which is good for seagrass growth. And if those parameters are in the right are within those thresholds that were set. You know, if it's green, we're staying the course, we're continuing our projects, we're doing well. In the yellow, that means caution. So we need to review the monitoring data, potentially look into new projects, investigating what's going on. And then red, of course, is on alert. So we need to really buckle down and get some management action so that we can make sure that water quality gets back on track. So for water quality, we've got some really good news for 2023. For the second year in a row, all of the bay segments are in the green. So we're meeting all of these targets. You know, chlorophyll A is within, so you can see you've got the targets here. We want to be lower than those targets in this case, and you can see we're well within that. And again, light penetration also is meeting those targets. So that's good news on the water quality front. So in this, you can kind of zoom in and look at the entire report card and see how it changes over time. You can see at the beginning of our water quality monitoring, you know, most of it is in the red and it's improved since then. We've been in the green for most of the bay segments since 2016, which was that high in seagrass coverage. But Old Tampa Bay has been in the yellow for several years, but in the last two, they've had good water quality. So this shows you that we've got good chlorophyll ratios, good light attenuation targets, and you know, we should keep doing what we're doing. And again, you can get more information by going to this dashboard here, and you can dial into more of the information. So this is basically the same thing, but this is specific to regulatory outcomes. So, you know, if we don't meet one of these standards, there's actually some management actions that need to happen. And Then just looking at chlorophyll trends over time. This is by base segment, so you can see the actual numbers of chlorophyll. You can see here in the beginning, higher chlorophyll levels, and you can see in these last 2 years, they've gone down significantly in Old Tampa Bay, Hillsborough Bay, and in all the base segments, really. So, so we're definitely meeting those thresholds. These lines here are the management targets. So again, we're doing pretty well on this. Same with
So just real
yeah.
quick on those graphs, the goal is to be below the management threshold, or that blue line. So anytime we're above that line, it's bad. That means we've exceeded that threshold. So just so that you guys kind of get an understanding of how to look at these graphs.
Thanks for the clarification, Sheila. Yeah, exactly. So again, we're well below those management thresholds for both of these factors. And here you can look at it by season. Again, you see that we're doing well here as well.
So on this one, you can go back really quick, but just to show y'all, the red dots are this year's chlorophyll for each month in the year. You can see it's kind of like a bell curve in each one of the bay segments. That's pretty self-explanatory because we get more nutrients into all of the bay during the summer, which is our rainy season. Sorry to interrupt you, Carrie.
No problem. Please add where you can. So the reason that this is important for seagrasses is that the water quality outcomes are based on things that influence seagrass growth. So a lot of the past exceedances were based on, a lot of nutrients, and those nutrients can cause blooms of harmful algae, which can lead to low water quality. So if we decrease the amount of nitrogen or nutrients that are going into the system, that decreases the frequency of those blooms and increases the water clarity so that the sunlight can reach down to the seagrasses and that they can grow and reproduce more easily. So a lot of times these rain patterns can also cause this. So, if you get a lot of stormwater runoff, you can get a lot of these nutrients going into the system. And, that's kind of where we're going to look for a potential reason. So what we would expect to see is if we have really good water quality, we'd have an increase in seagrass growth. And we might actually be starting to see that recovery. But we've had 2 years of really good water quality. In the past, a lot of these nutrients came from point sources like wastewater treatment plants and effluents that are going from specific areas. But a lot of that, the nutrients that go into the bay now are from stormwater inputs. So if we've got a lot of rainfall, we might actually get more nutrients going into the system. And there's kind of a clue here based on rainfall on why we've had really good water quality in the last year. If you look at annual rainfall across the time period, you can see that we've got we haven't had a lot of rain this year. So if we don't have a lot of rain, there's not as many nutrients going into the system. You're not going to have these algae blooms. So you're going to have clearer water. The same thing with the chlorophyll A, not a lot of nutrients going into the system. So you can also look at this across time here. You can see how 2023 is way down here. We've got low chlorophyll and low annual rainfall. So that's one way that we can look at things. And one reason that we think we're having really good water quality this year. So it may be just an annual change, and we obviously can't control the rain, so we're still going to have to monitor these nutrients and make sure to still track water quality as we go along. So basically, the take home from seagrass and water quality is that we're really hopeful that these last 2 years of improving water quality is going to be reflected in the seagrasses. And the Water Management District right now is in the process of flying their next mapping. So we'll be getting those results potentially this time next year. So we'll see if there's going to be an increase. And again, the transects show a little bit of a sign of that, which is good. We want to stick to what we've been doing all this time, which is basically making sure that we reduce the load of nitrogen into the estuary. And a lot of that, again, is going to be based off stormwater rain runoff, and is highly influenced by rainfall. So I just want to kind of talk a little bit about a study that's starting this year, where a lot of the problems that we've had with seagrass loss were in Old Tampa Bay, and we do have a contractor that we're working with to do basically a study that is looking at how much nitrogen Old Tampa Bay can assimilate and be healthy, and getting a lot more information on how that process works, so that we have a better idea on management in that part of the bay. Okay, do you have anything to add, Sheila?
No. I think, like Carrie said, the main takeaways are that really we're cautiously optimistic, but it'll take a long time or a while to see the significant growth of seagrass back. Like we're almost 10,000 acres below our target. So that's going to take several years in a row of really good water clarity and really good water quality. And I think what Carrie said is drought or lack of rainfall is not a management strategy. So although we are seeing these small signs that seagrass is recovering, we still need to be focused on the prize at the end of the road, and keep doing the good work of not fertilizing during the summers, updating infrastructure so that updating wastewater infrastructure, and basically keep doing everything to keep removing those nitrogen, that nutrients from the bay. But does anybody have any questions about water quality or the seagrass at this point?
Oh, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I just find it really interesting, and I was wondering, the graphs were going by kind of fast, but it looked like the water quality has been good. I'm sorry, my dog is barking his head off. The water quality has been good for the past few years. The light attenuation was good, and so why I don't understand why the seagrass dropped off so dramatically. I mean, it was the lowest in Old Tampa Bay since you've been measuring it. But yeah, that graph with all that green on the water quality, it just didn't. I mean, I'm just wondering if they have any idea.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna. It is. It's one of those head scratchers, right? But keep in mind that these graphics and seagrass estimates are from the 2022 mapping year. So this is at the end of 2021. So we've seen good water quality in 2022 and 2023. So we're hoping that we might see a response after that.
Yeah, but I mean, you make a really great point, Robin, and I think that's something that we're kind of grappling with as well. We do have some of the lowest chlorophyll levels that we've had in the past several years. So what are the other drivers that are contributing to some of this loss? And it also goes, seagrass is, it takes a while for it to recover. You can't just have like one, you can't leave a plant in the shade for 2 years or 3 years and then expose it to sunlight and expect it to grow flowers the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it takes time for a plant to respond and start to become healthy again and to really expand its footprint.
Well, like the hurricane was in like 2017, so could that have something to do with it, all the garbage that was washed in? I forget which, I can't think of the name of the Irma
Irma.
in
Yeah,
2017,
I
I
think
think.
there are a lot of potential drivers, and Ed, maybe you can speak to this better than I can.
I just add to the conversation. I mean, we're still trying to understand the mechanisms of what caused the decline in the first place. But if you think about sort of the events that you just highlighted from about 2015 to 2016, we had fairly significant summertime rainfall that caused a lot of sanitary sewer overflows. So I'm thinking that, we hypothesize that might be the triggering event that caused some of the initial loss. And then not long after that, you think about in 2021, we had a fairly, well, in 2017 and 2018, we had a significant red tide. It didn't really affect the bay too much. And then following that, in 2021, we had the Piney Point and a significant red tide event in the bay itself. So sort of these death by 1,000 cuts we were thinking is what contributed to that initial loss. They're probably not one smoking gun, but we know that as long as we're maintaining water quality at these thresholds that we've developed in the past, and we can control for those with nutrients, and at the same time work on these other management interventions that will help, complement those water quality improvements through either tidal circulation or other hydrologic improvements in the watershed. That's going to get hopefully that kickstart to recovery that Sheila's talking about. That's going to be needed over a protracted period because it's fairly easy to lose seagrasses. We saw it over 6-7 year time period of losing about 11,500 acres. But if you look at the history of recovery, it took several decades for us to get back to our original goals. So it's probably going to take us a decade to recover just what was lost over the past 6-7 years.
Thank you. Thanks. That helps.
Thanks, Ed.
Are there any
other
questions about
questions?
seagrass and water quality? Okay, so I'll
Hey,
go ahead and move.
real quick. I'm coming in. Here I am. This is just a thought for everyone, and just in terms of how do we kind of build a movement around this. So at Eckerd College, I'm the director of the service learning program. So we have a vast marine science program that just with our juniors, one class constitutes 70 students alone. So if you need boots on the ground with seagrass planting or different types of volunteering or whatnot, we're here to help. And I would take advantage of this opportunity or whatnot, because I think that there are different kind of meeting points between Eckerd, Tampa Bay Estuary Program, and things like the media as well that would be fantastic for this. So I can help link you up with some of those marine science professors, and we can start talking about a coalition to at least move against this in some ways, if folks are interested in that.
Yeah, definitely, Dr. Porter. Let's chat.
We do have an event this Saturday if you want to motivate some students to help out with the restoration event down in Manatee County.
So we've not started our semester just yet. We don't start till next week, the 31st or whatnot. But this is the type of stuff that I definitely want to hear about. And I know I get information through the newsletters or whatnot I'm sharing with the community. But also, if we want to put together days, just for Eckerd students or just to focus on a particular area or whatnot, I think that would be a great idea too. And this is not just to hype up Eckerd College or whatnot. It's more so because we have a mass of young people that we can use to our benefit.
Yeah, I know Sheila will probably be in contact to take advantage of that cheap student labor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. All right. I'll go ahead and move into some of our other report cards. So This one I'm actually really familiar with since my background is in fisheries ecology. So not only do we look at water quality and seagrass and habitats within the bay, but we're trying to get a handle on how the ecology of the entire bay is responding over time. So we developed some indexes to look at that. And again, it's using the same kind of report card structure so that we can say, okay, green, we're doing fine. Yellow, we need to, maybe take a better look at what's happening within the environment. And then red, of course, is, when we're really need to have some caution on that part of the health of the bay. So nectin is just means fish and swimming invertebrates that are sampled by our partners at FWC. And they've been doing this type of sampling in Tampa Bay since 1998. So there's a good time series that we can look at, and it's mostly based on the diversity of and species richness of what's found within the bay. So, the variety of species that are captured. So, when we have a good diversity, a good healthy community, it's going to be in that green. And this index does respond to water quality and habitat degradation because obviously these animals are living in the environment. And unfortunately for this index, we are in the yellow for all 4 bay segments. And this is the first time this has happened since 2008. And if you take a look at the actual graph of the index over time, which is here, you can see kind of how that looks over the time series. So in 2021 and 2022, you can see that in 2021, 3 of the bay segments were in the yellow, and then in 2022, all 4. But, if you think back to things that were happening around that time, as Ed and Sheila mentioned, in 2021, we had a major red tide bloom that happened within the bay. And, fish are very sensitive to that. And if you look back into 2005, earlier on in the time series, there was another major red tide bloom that happened within the bay system during that time, and you can see that this index went pretty low and almost into the red. So what we think is happening in 2021 and 2022 is, still kind of lingering effects from the red tide event in 2021. And also there was one in the winter of 2022 as well. We don't have results from 2023 for this one yet because it takes a little bit more time to process the data. So we'll see what the results look like for 2023. But if you look at this 2025 index, you can see that it recovers relatively quickly afterwards, within the next several years. And some species are more susceptible to red tide effects than others. So we'll just be keeping an eye on that as far as how that fish community is responding. So similarly, we have some information that's done with that's taken by our partners at the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County, and they look at the organisms that live within the sediment. So this is our benthic index. So this is basically looking at the health of those individuals that live within the sediments or on the bay bottom. And these guys respond very much to the pollutants that can accumulate in the sediment. So unlike some of our other indices where you can see improvements over time, you can see that in Old Tampa Bay and Hillsborough Bay, we are kind of going back and forth between the yellow and the red. And sometimes that could just be because, some of those lingering pollutants are in those areas. Again, you could dive deeper into this. You can actually look at individual pollutants that are measured that relate to some of these results on our website. Okay, are there any questions about the fish or the benthic invertebrates before I move on to habitat? Okay. So another thing that we do keep track of is restoration progress by our partners. So we have a habitat restoration consortium that meets 3 times a year, and we collect information from all our partners on the restoration that they've done within a given year and report that to EPA. So annually we have an idea of the different restoration projects that are going on in different habitats. So this is results from 2023. And as you can see, a lot of projects are going on within the watershed. 71 projects total were done in 2023. A lot of the projects were done in the uplands habitat, and that's just a function of there's a lot more area for that work to be being done. And when you look at the acreage, it might not necessarily be a restoration project. It could just be maintenance or enhancement of those restoration projects. So for example, prescribed ferns or managing for invasive species. But what we do like to see is restoration happening across these different types of habitats over time. And then this is just kind of a snapshot of the last 3 years of the different types of restoration projects that have been done. Last year we had less reported. It is a voluntary reporting, so we're glad to see that a lot more of our partners reported their restoration projects in 2023. It also could just be a function of what restoration projects ended in that particular year. And again, you can see the breakdown is pretty similar. A lot of work being done in uplands. This past year, there was some work done in the coastal uplands and also some in our non-forested freshwater wetlands. So again, a nice cross section of the different habitats. So for these annual kind of snapshots, that tells us what's been done in a particular year, but what we'd like to do is to be able to translate that to what we can see on a large scale looking at mapping. So we can kind of track progress based on our habitat master plan, which gives us particular targets for each of those different habitats. So for example, we have a particular target for uplands. We have a target for seagrasses, which, we're not meeting, and several others. So we're putting together and finalizing a report card for that, and it's a little different than some of the others. So it tells us whether we're meeting our target for restoration or if we're actually going to meet it based on this longer time period. So, our habitat master plan has goals for 2030 and also 2050. And so we want to look at the trend for that from year to year to make sure that we're going to meet those goals in the future. So the green in the habitat report card, the habitat target's being met right now, and it looks like it'll be met in 2030. In the red, it's the opposite. The target isn't met right now, and it doesn't look like it's going to be met by 2030. So this is just a way to gauge restoration progress, and so we can coordinate among our partners on, what habitats they need to focus on. So this is what the report card looks like. And you can see over time, there's differences in whether we're meeting the target in each year. If you look at the most recent mapping, and again, this is based on the aerial photography and interpretation that the Southwest Florida Water Management District does. So this is the same information that we use for our seagrasses. So if you look at seagrasses in this subtidal habitat, you can see for the last several years, we're not meeting the target and we're trending below. So that's kind of a check that this report card is working. And then you can also see within the intertidal zone, the total intertidal habitats, they're not meeting their target and trending below. And a lot of that has to do with salt marshes, which have been declining. And we think a lot of that has to do with, there's been an expansion of mangroves within the Tampa Bay region and also in other parts of Florida. So once we get increases in mangroves, they can shade out some of the salt marsh areas. So mangroves are doing well, salt marshes are not doing quite as well. And if you go across the bottom here, you can also see that forested freshwater wetlands are also in the red for the most recent mapping. So that's another one that we want to kind of concentrate on. So between the projects that are being done in an individual year and looking at the report card and the trends that we see there, we can make recommendations to our restoration partners on where they need to focus those efforts. So what we recommended to our habitat restoration partners back in December is that, the priority is seagrasses, salt marshes, and forested freshwater wetlands. And then some of these habitats, they're not of immediate concern, but we do have some aggressive targets for restoration. So, for oyster bars and upland habitats, whether they're coastal or non-coastal, we want those restoration efforts to continue. And then for now, mangroves are doing fine. That may not always be the case as, development increases and sea level rise increases, potentially squeezing those habitats together. And there's a lot more information on this as well on our website that you can go check out. Okay, and that's all I have. I know I went through a lot of that a little bit quickly, but if you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them. It's a lot of information, but the bottom line is we're trying to track all of these different factors so that we can look at the health of the bay from various endpoints and make sure that, we're hitting everything that's important.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Are there any questions for Carrie?
I just had a question in general. It seems like this habitat restoration, I really like the way that's laid out and shows, our goals towards 2030 where they were trending. Is there any way we can have that as part of the mini grant? We have so much mangrove restoration. I think a lot of the grants are for that. Is there any way we can point them in these other habitat directions that aren't as well known? Just a comment. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And the seagrasses and or the grasses in classes program that Lori participated in, that's an example of a habitat that we do want some work being done on. So that was one of our priorities, is salt marshes, and we actually use this as a guide for our other grant program, the Tampa Bay Environmental Restoration Fund. We'll look at this report card to determine priority habitats for restoration. So it's definitely something that we're using. It's a relatively new report card based on compared to the others. But we hope it's useful for the restoration professionals in the area to at least kind of coalesce around ideas on where we need to put our efforts.
And we could absolutely share this with our Bay Mini Grant applications or our requests for projects, and to try and guide people in the direction of the habitats that need work. We could also do a better job at sharing this with the review committee so that hey, mangroves are doing really great, so we probably don't need 20 projects planting mangroves. So I think that's something that the estuary program could do a better job at moving forward.
Yeah, and if the CAC would like an individual presentation just on this particular part of the report card, I'd be happy to do that, because there's obviously a lot more information that went into it, and when we go through all the report cards at once, you're just trying to kind of hit the highlights.
And if you're interested in like a one-on-one kind of tutorial on any of these dashboards, you're also feel free to reach out to us, and one of us would be happy to sit down with you and kind of walk you through how to play around with each dashboard and what the different tabs might mean.
I imagine that the goals that we need to do more to meet also informs which CCMP focus you will pick for the mini grants too.
Yeah, I think, Jan, that's definitely an important piece of it. I think I was thinking about this, and maybe the other professionals in the room can correct me, but I think part of the reason that we get so many mangrove projects for Bay Mini grants is that it doesn't require permitting, or at least doesn't require the types of intensive permitting that you need for something like installing an oyster bed or something like that. So there is that barrier, just that's not going to go anywhere. But I do think it can help to let people know what the priorities are. And Carrie, if you can actually go back to that screen with the
Sure.
what to prioritize and what's doing okay and all that. Yeah, so seagrass and salt marsh, at least for restoration, both require permits, but for education, you could do just about anything there. Wetlands may also require permitting, so just something to be aware of.
Great. Any other final questions for Carrie? Comments?
Thanks,
Great. Well,
everyone.
thanks, Carrie. We appreciate you taking the time to present all of this amazing information to us.
Thank you.
So up next, I'm gonna bring up Carly. Are you still on, Carly? Oh yeah, there you are. So
Do you want
Carly's
me
going
to
to
wrap
talk
up,
about.
Sheila?
Oh yeah, do you want to wrap up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm guessing y'all can hear me now. I don't
Yes.
know. My computer hates me. However, I cannot share my screen, Sheila, so
Oh.
you want to make me an organizer, or
Yeah.
you can share it either way.
Okay, you're organizer.
Oh, last I heard, somebody asked a question about this. Did we did we wrap this up, or
We
are we
did.
still on? We
We
did.
did. There was general
Great.
consensus from the group to approve.
Okay, love it. Thank you, ad hoc working group. I appreciate your efforts very much. All right, so the 2024 mini grants just got started a few weeks ago, and they're rocking and rolling right now. I just want to give you a little snapshot of what we did last year for advertising before we roll into planning for 2025, so that you can sort of see what we did and what the results were, and sort of go from there. So we did paid advertisement in 6 different publications, reaching about 70,000 viewers, cost about $4,000. Of course, we posted on TBEP social media and newsletter, and we received about 44 applications for nearly $200,000. We ended up funding about half of those at $96,600. One of the issues that we encountered is many of the applications were either just incomplete, or they just weren't really strong applications. So 44 is a high number, and I think that's a great number to shoot for. I do think we could stand to improve the quality of some of the applications, though. And also, we get a lot of repetitive applicants, and that's totally fine. We love to see people coming back and taking advantage of the program again, but we also want to make sure that we're reaching many different diverse demographics across the watershed. It's a huge watershed. We want to make sure that we're getting it to a bunch of different people. So with that, next year, 2025 in mind, we want to get even more applications, or at least from more different partners potentially, and improve the quality, get better applications too. So improving quality, expanding the applicant pool, how do we do that? That's kind of what I want to talk to y'all about now. So we, correct me if I'm wrong, Sheila, but we've got at least 10 minutes to go over this. Is that good?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay.
Carly, yours is quick, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you should be good.
Okay. So I'm leaving this up to y'all. I'm gonna take some notes on the screen here while we're kind of working on this together. So what are your ideas? This is sort of a brainstorming session. I want to hear what methods, what tactics you think we can use to help applicants submit stronger applications, and how we reach even more people in the coming application year. So feel free to let yourself off mute. Remember that there's no bad ideas in a brainstorm, so just throw it out there. And I'm going to keep notes, and we'll check back in when we reopen Bay Mini Grants on how this all panned out. So how do we reach more applicants? How do we help them submit better applications?
I just had one idea when we were listening to the presentation on the kids with autism. Really, the advertising is at a bad time for a school year. I didn't know if there's like a teaser that you could just send out to the schools at the end of the year in May, you know, to tell them that this is coming up so that teachers can possibly think about that during the summer instead of hitting them right as the school year begins. And that's just one idea.
Yeah, that's similar to what I was going to suggest, responding to what Lori said. Is there some way to appeal directly to the schools? I don't know, put information in the pony, recruit some teachers to distribute it, or I don't know.
Those are great ideas. Thanks, y'all.
So this is sort of a question. Maybe you can just remind me. I know I've served on this committee and I've looked at mini grants before, but I just can't remember. So when I remember last year when we had some proposals come in, you know, they were not kind of up to par with what we would want for our proposals, but they were good ideas. And so when that happens, I don't know, what do you do now? Like, how do you move forward when you think that's a good idea? And maybe there's a way to improve that, like how we're responding to the proposals that we send in to help them create a new application either for that year or the next year.
So at the end of each cycle, when the CAC has reviewed, we send out a notification to people that either were awarded and those that were not awarded. For those that were not awarded, we strongly encourage them to set up a meeting. In the future, it'll be with me, and go over how they can improve their application for the next year. I don't really remember how many people took advantage of that this past year, though I think there's still a couple that we haven't gotten back to yet. But that is all I've really done with that so far. So if you have additional ways that you can think we can help them, other than just like telling them to talk to us to help improve their application for the next year, I agree with you that people that have good ideas and just need a hand making a good application and like planning out the project a little bit better, I would love to figure out what the sweet spot is for helping them.
You do like individual feedback though, right? Like you'll provide the individual feedback to each project. Okay.
Yes.
We do, yeah.
So like in the email, when we say, I'm sorry you didn't get awarded, we also include some of the comments and the notes from the CAC on ways that they can improve their application for next year. So we include that up front just so that they have it, but then we also encourage them to set up a time to talk with us so that we can start building a relationship and start to help them kind of put together a better project proposal.
Is there any way to do that before they have failed? Because once someone has been rejected, I would suspect that they're not going to have quite the amount of interest in waiting till the following year and figuring it out. That maybe if you look at a proposal or something is coming in and you say, you know, this would be great, except they need some help on submitting their budget. They need some overall just a little bit of more guidance during the process
Yeah,
before they have failed.
yeah, I agree. We do encourage people to send in their draft application in advance of the due date. That can be a hurdle for some people, especially like you heard, if they've just learned of it and they're trying to do it pretty quickly. I almost think as you're talking, this kind of occurred to me, like maybe you have like a pre-application date where they have to submit their application, and then, you know, we as staff have another couple weeks to help them iron out any issues. I don't know if that even is allowed with a competitive grant program, but I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure how to do it other than what
Seems
we're
like
already doing.
that would really increase the amount of work that the staff had to do, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That is, but maybe some of
Basically
us
dumping
could,
it.
not necessarily really participate, but maybe if someone does want to submit something early or has some questions that maybe they could be directed. I know that it increases your work, but what we frequently find is, and as you said, we're getting repeat applications from the people who know how to submit the grants proposals. They're good at this. It's the novices that it would be nice to reach.
Agreed.
If you could
I
make
will
like a
say
special
that,
date, yeah. Oops, sorry. Like first time
sorry.
applicants, word it that way. Do you have a good idea? Something where they could just broadly, define what it is. And then I don't know where you go from there. Also, I don't know how you feel about partnering similar projects with, past winners like Golden Mangrove winners or things like that. You could have other people helping them instead of just the staff, people that had experience writing grants that were successful.
I think that's a really cool idea of pairing people with Golden Mangrove winners. I'm not sure who was talking just before, but we do encourage them to submit applications in advance so that we can review it. That's something we already do, and not many people take advantage of that. I think I don't know how many you reviewed, Sheila, but I might have done just 5, and then we ended up getting 44 total. So not a ton of people take advantage of that, and I wonder if there's a way to increase that, or even require it for a first-time applicant. I don't know.
And
But
we also
go ahead. Yeah.
We also have a spot on our website that allows people to submit a project idea at any time throughout the year. So once somebody submits a project idea, and it could be like a couple sentences, a paragraph, that goes to Jessica or myself, and then we reach out to them directly. So we have had it we have it set up in like a couple different ways, but I think there are definitely ways that we can improve that and make sure that more people know about it, and maybe there's a higher incentive to actually utilize some of those resources.
And we only have a couple minutes left for this session, y'all, but if you have recommendations for expanding the applicant pool, whether that means reaching new demographics that we don't usually see apply, or reaching specific areas that we don't see apply very often, like rural areas in Manatee County, for instance, is one that I'm thinking of. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too.
I can't hear you.
I just wanted to quickly say you should advertise the 5 extra points for free to the applicants that haven't received funding before. Like, I would make that the only thing on the ad for some of the ads, like 5 free points for your good idea if you haven't received blah blah blah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thanks y'all for all these ideas. We're in this revamping of Bay Mini Grant phase.
Any other last recommendations? Okay. Well, I'm always here to hear your feedback, recommendations, criticism even, so feel free to reach out at any time. We definitely want to make the mini grant as accessible and successful as it can be. So I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica. All right, Carly, you're finally up.
Thanks. I don't even know how to start presenting. How do I do that, Shannon?
I can ping it.
Okay.
Did you get a notification?
I did. Thank you. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Perfect. So bear with my voice. I am getting over an illness, but if you can't hear me, feel free to come off mute and let me know, and I will try to speak louder. But I am going to bring a new proposal for you guys today. It is an activity that we are thinking about implementing. It is in the very beginning stages of planning, so there won't be a lot of specific details about it. We're just trying to gain general interest, thoughts you may have, things like that. So this is going to be the Tampa Bay Watershed Passport. No? Okay. So most of you probably know the Tampa Bay Watershed includes parts of Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, Pinellas, and Polk counties. So it's all of that area on the map on the right. Obviously, those who live farther away from the bay itself are less aware of how their actions can affect the health of the bay. People right on the water are a little bit more aware of what they're doing, fertilizing, things like that, how it can affect bay health. But the people farther away in, say, Polk County are less aware. So we're kind of trying to gain some awareness from those people farther from the bay. So the Watershed Passport would encourage people to explore the entire watershed, not just the areas directly on the water. It would work sort of like the Hillsborough Hiking Spree, if anyone's familiar with that. Each year we would provide a list of several locations across the watershed, which would change each year and include things like conservation areas, parks, Bay Mini Grant sites, if there's a rain garden that was installed, something that would make a good place that people could go view and learn about some conservation happening. And we would have a website that would have a list of all the locations like they do for the hiking spree, with information like activities that are available, ADA accessibility, any conservation information if we've done any restoration projects there, as well as volunteer opportunities. If the participants complete all of the locations for that year, they would win a prize, which would be a custom Tampa Bay watershed artwork map that would look kind of similar to the artwork on the left, where it would be the whole watershed, an artistic rendering with the different locations highlighted and some kind of image to go along with the different locations. So if we do this, we have 3 different options for tracking the locations that participants go to. The first one would just be an honor system, which is how the hiking spree does it. You go to the locations on your own, you track how many you've been to, and once you've finished all of them, you fill out a form that the hiking sprees can includes your general, name, email, some demographics like your age and gender, how you heard about the hiking spree, and then they have, you can put the different hikes that you went on, because they do offer more than you are required to do, and just which ones you like the best, things like that. So we could just have whatever questions we decided and have people fill that out. They get sent the prize, easy peasy. So that is the first option. The second option would be a membership. So on that website that has the list of the locations, they would create a login that would track their progress. At each location, they would just scan a QR code that marked that location as visited on their account. And this would allow them, when they open their account, to have a virtual picture of that scratch off map. It would be the picture of the artistic map that they're going to be winning as a prize, with the locations virtually scratched off once they visited them. So that would be a little bit of a visual progress that they could see every time they log in. Would let them know exactly how many more they have to go to, how many they've been to, and it would all be in one place. The third option is still there would be a QR code at the locations, but every time it is scanned, you would input your name and email, and then that would upload to a spreadsheet that TBEF staff have access to that we could track their progress, and we would let them know once they've completed all the locations and send them the prize. So each time they scanned it, instead of signing up permanently for an account with their name and email, they would just input it each time and it would just go on a spreadsheet. So some things to consider with all those. People may not want to sign up for an account to complete a challenge. They QR codes at the locations. We could make it so that they have information about the challenge itself. So if someone just showed up at a site, saw the QR code, but didn't know what it was for and scanned it, they could learn about the challenge and may not have known about it previously, but may be interested in participating now that they do know about it. So that would be a way to kind of advertise to more people. And having that membership with that virtual scratch off map does allow users to track their own progress, which for some people, they need that motivation or just that reminder that that's still there. So before we take votes on these, I want to open it up to questions about any part of it, whether it's just the passport as a whole or the different systems. Let's see if I can open the chat.
So there's a question in the chat from Erica who said, is there a similarity to Earthcache or Geocache?
I'm not sure what Earthcache is, but we were thinking of Geocache when we thought about it. There would be, prizes there, but yes, at the different locations, you're kind of marking that you visited that location and found it. It wouldn't be a search thing. It would be very obvious where it was, but
yeah, yeah. Earthcache is the Geological Society of America has been doing that one, and it has a membership base. But the idea is that you go to look at a geological formation and log that you saw it and learn something about it while you were there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we do want to have an educational portion, whether that's the sites we pick or Bay Mini Grant sites or restoration sites where there's something that they can learn about what we're doing rather than just, oh yeah, I went to this place, check.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Is it not possible to potentially do both membership, like have a combination of both membership and name and email? So I am one of those people who hates to make accounts, always feeling like my information is stored everywhere. And so I am always a person who will sort of click, sign in as guest or whatever. And I'm wondering if having an option of like sign in or sign in as guest and just put your information is possible. I don't know how many people that will really deter, but maybe there's a possibility there.
Can you say what you said right after sign in? Can you say whatever you said? Can you say whatever you said right after sign in as guest? Because it broke up and I missed what you said.
Okay, sorry. Here, I'll turn my camera on too. It's very dark in here, so it's like a bright light right on me from a computer. Sorry, everyone.
Same.
Yeah. So I, being someone who doesn't like to create accounts, even if it's not totally warranted, but always feeling like my information is everywhere, always will do the sign in as guest option. And I'm wondering if there is an option. Often at sites, there's ways to create, sign in with your membership or to just sign in as guest and log with your name and email. And I'm wondering, if you do a membership, then you get to see your progress, you get to see that virtual map. But that doesn't mean that you don't get that sort of prize and get to participate at the end. It just means you're not creating a membership. And I'm wondering why we can't do both of those.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I will write that down and bring that up to our web designer that's working on it. Because, yeah, that seems like it would be a valid way to do it.
But I will say, I think the goal is to have it like one way for everybody. So just keep that in mind when we move to the voting.
Any other questions on that? Or I will open this voting otherwise.
I really like the idea of transmitting or communicating more information about the estuary But I would not be inclined to participate in any membership or putting my name in anywhere. I wouldn't even care about a prize. I would just like the information about some of the projects that have been done, some of the areas that people might not know about.
Mhm. And I think it would still be available, even if you didn't put a membership in, or if you didn't put your name and email in. I think the website would be open to anyone. So you could still see this list of areas and projects that have been done and all of that information. I saw the question about Hillsborough Metrics. We are trying to get in touch with Hillsborough about the hiking spree, but we have not had success yet. So we will continue to work on that. And yeah, opting into the TBUP emails is a great idea. All right, anything else?
George Davis here. I had everything turned off, but I'm here. Could it be a melding of the honor system with the QR codes on site?
Yes, we could probably do that. The QR codes are going to be a little bit more work logistically, just convincing the partners to allow us to put QR codes and things there.
Yeah.
So I think if we put them there, we were looking for a little bit more than the honor system to say that people actually went there, but we can consider that as an option, is still having that. So once people are there, they can still participate, but not have to have a membership.
Yeah, okay.
Erica, are you talking about the patrol program stickers?
Yeah, it gets scanned all the time. I love it, watching the students use it and stuff. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's small enough that it's easy to hide too, right? Like
Yeah.
it's visible and people know where it is, but it's not like sticking in your face like a big sign.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Let me, how do I do this? So we are going to do a little survey so that I can get everyone's thoughts, and I will put this in the chat. Present. So you can either scan the QR code, go to the link in the chat, or just go to menti.com and enter that code. Give everyone a second to do that. We will move on to the voting. Sheila, how many people are there that are not TBEP on here right now?
$14.
Okay, thanks. All right.
Just kidding, 13.
Blake, you've already voted like 3 times.
I gave you all different ones though.
Okay,
You'll have
well,
real
you can vote
opinion.
later. Oh, you said 13? Okay, great. Wonderful. Oh, 14. Wow. A resounding win. All right.
Oh, I accidentally voted both on my phone and on my computer.
That's all right.
I didn't really understand what was happening.
I am not logged into that system, but I would like to vote for the honor system.
Okay.
6.
I think that is everyone then. All right. Perfect. Well, thank you, everyone. Oh, we're getting votes. Now we should be good. All right. Well, thank you guys. And we can come back and discuss more. But it looks like we can get rid of membership because it looks like people are not really interested in that as much. But we can definitely discuss still having QR codes and more details about that in the future. So thank you, everyone, for your input. And I don't know how to stop sharing, so I'll let you do that, Sheila. Yes, I do. Figured it out.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, thank you so much to all of our wonderful presenters today. One of the last things on the agenda for today is a new co-chair selections. So for the past several years, Dylan and Jan Allen have been amazing co-chairs, and I've worked very closely with them to make sure that the CAC meetings run smoothly. They've attended our management board meetings, and they've attend our give-a-days, and so they've just done a really outstanding job as CAC co-chair, so I really want to thank them. But we have a whole new group of CAC members now today, so we thought it might be a good time to kind of transition and allow some new faces to sit as the co-chairs on our CAC. I don't know if Jan and Dylan, you want to add anything to that?
You made it easy, Sheila. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's not a hard job, but it's interesting because you do learn a lot, and going to the management committee meetings is interesting. You get a different perspective of the organization, and you learn more about the nuts and bolts of how it works, which is really interesting and informative. You also, you're networking with the management committee, so you get to meet a lot of people who are working to improve the Bay. So if you're looking for a networking opportunity, that it's a good way to get to know some of those people.
Yeah, so there aren't too many strict responsibilities associated with being a co-chair. The main things are I ask you guys to all participate in our give-a-day events on the weekends and on our subcommittees, reviewing grants and choosing a golden mangrove as your time permits. I also would ask for guidance and assistance with agenda development so that it's kind of the CACs are providing some input on actually what's being presented at these meetings. I would like, moving forward, the CAC members to kind of lead these programs or these meetings, and that so that you don't have to hear my voice for 2.5 hours or 2 hours straight. And the biggest responsibility for the co-chairs is that they are voting members on our management board. So we do ask that at least one of the co-chairs is present in person on one Friday morning quarterly to be a member of our management board. So again, that's in person. The meetings are typically 9 to noon for those meetings. And I would do a briefing with whoever was planning on attending that meeting in advance so that you could feel confident about what sort of materials were being discussed at that meeting and different things that could help you be successful at that meeting. So,
and you do get the agenda in advance.
Yeah, and you do get the agenda in advance, 2 weeks in advance. So, but it's really, it's an opportunity for you to do networking, to grow your resumes, work closely with TBEP staff, which we're the best staff. But so yeah, I just kind of want to open it up to the CAC members. I know I've spoken with a couple of you who have expressed some interest. So I don't know if you guys want to nominate yourselves or express interest in running. Is anybody interested still?
Sheila, can you clarify? Do you need one candidate or two candidates?
We need two candidates.
Okay, can I nominate somebody?
Absolutely.
I think that Megan, if she's interested, would be a good representation.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'd love to serve y'all.
Awesome. Do we have anybody else who's interested or wants to nominate somebody? Oh, come on. I'm going to start nominating people then.
Sheila, are we allowed to nominate people?
I would think so.
All right, I'm gonna do it if somebody doesn't say something. So, Sheila.
Is there anybody else who's interested or interested in nominating somebody else on the CAC?
Megan, who would you like to work with?
I like everyone. I don't want to make it. I don't know.
So that's, Alan, the terms aren't really specified in the roles and responsibilities, but I would hope to have somebody on board for like about 2 years.
Erica, are you asking who's absent so we can nominate them?
We'll not do that, Erica.
So, Sheila, I think you've mentioned before that it's helpful to have someone who's newer to the committee and someone who's been on the committee for some time. Is that right?
Yeah, so that we've got some fresh eyes and then also some folks that have been around for a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I have only been around for, a couple of years myself, so I don't know everyone, but I think there are a few people that I've spoken with offline that I think would be great candidates. I don't know what your interest is, but Robin, I definitely have mentioned it to you. I think you would be great in a leadership role on the CAC. Dr. Porter might be as well. I know he's not here, but I'm not sure if his schedule conflicts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Cynthia, I think you've been on for a couple of years now, so I'm not sure if that counts as having been around for a while, but I think all of y'all, and honestly anyone else who is willing and spending your own time to improve the watershed, I think y'all would all be great leaders.
Thanks, Jessica. Go ahead, Robin.
I do feel like a complete newbie, but I would be interested in going to those quarterly or whatever meetings. I think those would be really interesting, especially if I could share duties with Megan.
There's nothing that says it has to be a new member and an old member. We can absolutely have 2 new members, and we'll work with you guys the whole way. And pretty soon you'll be like old members.
If you share duties going to the management committee, then each of you only has to go twice a year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to, I didn't want to compete if someone else wanted to do it. So,
Do it.
Do it, Robin.
all
Do
right.
it.
Well, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. If no one,
Awesome.
thank you.
So is there general consensus from the committee to accept Robin and Megan as our new co-chairs for the Community Advisory Committee? If anybody has any issues with this, please speak now or forever hold your peace.
Done.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Sorry for the awkwardness, y'all. Thanks, Robin and Megan, and I look so forward to working with you guys. So here, I'll reach out to you 2 directly, and we can have kind of a meeting to chat about next steps.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Um,
I'm really excited. Thanks, guys. Yeah, just want to throw that out there. Yeah.
Yes, thank you to the new chairs as well as the old chairs, Jan and Dylan. We appreciate your service to the program and look forward to working more with Megan and Robin.
And Jan and Dylan, you're not allowed to go anywhere, so I hope you don't think you're off the hook now. So.
Don't you worry about that. And yeah, I'd like to take a second to thank Jan as well. She was a co-chair prior to me joining the committee and was a huge help in teaching me the ropes. So thanks, Jan.
You're welcome, but I don't really feel like I did much as co-chair, to be honest. But then showing up at the management meetings, but it was an enjoyable time doing it.
Indeed.
And PB's, the estuary program staff is so easy to work with. So you guys really are the best.
Well, thanks, Jan.
Concur.
Well, that's really everything that I had. So I think the last thing on the agenda is just CAC updates, upcoming events, and kind of like a round table from folks. On the estuary program side, I do want to just make you aware of a few events that are coming up. February 3rd is Raptor Fest at Boyd Hill, so we will have a table there. So if you live in the area or like raptors and birds, or just want to explore Boyd Hill, which is an amazing preserve or park, be sure to come out and come check us out and come say hi to us. February 9th and 10th is St. Pete Science Fest. We will be there both days. It's on the USF St. Pete's campus, so come say hi to us. And then the last one, just from our standpoint, on February 24th, we are partnering with Keep Pinellas Beautiful to host a Give a Day for the Bay at Moccasin Lake. So registration for that will be coming available here soon. And so y'all will get an email when that's registration's open. But that's all I have. I'm done talking. Now it's up to you guys.
If anybody, you or anyone you know, is looking for volunteer stuff to do, go to the Water Atlas calendar, because I put tons of stuff on there. Everything that's on TVEP's calendar, but also bunches of other organizations. So Manatee County, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Keep Pinellas Beautiful, Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful, all this stuff is on there, so it's kind of all in one place. So if you're looking for opportunities, they're there.
Like, I feel like maybe you're just not looking hard enough, so keep trying. But also, the Tampa Bay Environmental Restoration Fund, the request for proposals for that is currently open. The deadline to apply is March 13th. If you know of any professionals who are interested in applying for that, please share that with them. I'll put it in the chat and have them hit me up if they have questions. And it's not too early to start thinking about mini grants for next year. I'm definitely gonna take some of your recommendations. I really appreciate y'all coming up with some of those good ideas. And perhaps at the next meeting, we can talk about it a little bit more.
Anybody else have events coming up, something they want to add?
Can I put a personal note in? It's George Davis. I just want to say hello. I just want to say hello to Sue Brandon. I don't know if she remembers me. We were here with Dick Eckenrod back in right at the end of the last ice age when this group was formed. And to Marjorie Carmenin, I think she's a longtime member too. It's the only two faces I recognized. And so I'm back, guys.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you, Sue. Hey, Marty. Thank you.
We're glad you're back, George.
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
Okay, with that, that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for joining the meeting and for all of your engagement. Just want to let you know, put on your calendars. The next meeting will be March 27th from 4:30 to 6:30. I'm hoping it's going to be in person. I'm thinking at Moccasin Lake so that we can view their Bay Mini Grant project from last year. March 27th from 4:30 to 6:30. But I'll also send out an email so that you guys have that date on your calendars. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.